What do you tell your agents, Byron? I want to talk about this. I think this is relevant here. When a deal's in progress, right? It's getting a little hairy. You don't know if it's going to move ahead, which has happened to all of us. Do you have them
Mm.
freak out and call everybody right away and micromanage it, or do you let it play out a little bit and see how things go?
We're on the buy side or the list
Either
side
side,
here.
either side. Do you let it play out and let the decision makers make decisions, meaning
My,
consumers, or do you have them micromanage it and call them every 5 minutes?
my style has often been it does depend on the deal, but my style has often been to let a few things play out, not not avoid the situation. I want to be clear on this. When I say that, it doesn't mean you exit the conversation like I exited the 50-person group chat. It's you don't disappear for 2 or 3 days, but you don't get all strung up. That this has been an issue with agents, and why agents have had a bad stigma for a long time. They get wildly emotional in the transaction, and we're being paid to not be emotional. We're being paid to absorb the emotion of the person that is actually spending the money on the
Mm-hmm.
asset, and to be reasonable, and to be the fiduciary, and to be somebody who's able to orchestrate with confidence that they've seen the situation before and they have a solution for it. So I tend to say, you know what, that there's in a time of high anxiety and drama, there is a moment to take a step back and let some of the conversations play out, because when people take a breath, often the data becomes clearer. When you're highly strung up on anxiety and drama and fear, it's hard to see the data. It's hard to understand it in that situation.
I totally agree. And what knowledge brokers do is they don't avoid the situation. They don't run and hide. They play offense and they charge, right? They charge the issue. There's deadlines in place, right? There's time to let things play out. And I'm clear if the Fed took that strategy here and let this play out a little bit, because right now emotions are high. Right now, there's a lot of volatility. People are nervous. We got an objection from a seller over the weekend literally asking, "Hey, what does this bank collapse mean for me listing my home?" Right? I mean, it happened that quick. This is like Saturday afternoon, and this is someone that's sophisticated, has a higher price listing, knows the markets, but this is people don't know. And if you let it play out a little bit instead of micromanaging this and adding to the drama, because Jerome Powell's speech last week before the show, there's a lot of drama there. Him and Elizabeth Warren yelling at each other, it's a lot of drama, right? I mean, you had a lot of notes on this. I saw you posting from Senator Warnock. I mean, there's drama there, right? He's getting questioned. He's getting asked tough questions. That's fine. A lot of drama. This is very akin. I don't know if I used that word right. This is very similar to a real estate transaction because there's people involved. There's a lot of money at stake. And if there's too many movements going on, no one can get a real handle for what's happening. And I am clear that the Fed should take a page out of that book. Don't avoid it. Don't disappear. Just let it play out. Hey, we're going to give this 30 days. Let's see how the market reacts. No different than when you take a home to the market and you're unsure about the pricing. Maybe there's not comparable sales, right? Hey, let's give it a couple weeks and let's let this play out and see what the market says if we're unsure, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. I think this is the same conversation someone should be having with Jerome Powell. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, there's a balance with it, and this is where the best agents are going to earn the most
Mm-hmm.
income, because they're highly sophisticated in the way they negotiate. They're very experienced in those situations, because there is time does kill deals. If you disappear and just let time run on endlessly, like something's going to happen, that'll kill a deal. At the same time, if you're on the other end of the extreme, like we're talking about, and just like pounding on every single angle of the transaction, just being relentless with the lender and being relentless with the mom of the buyer, and you're getting everybody's emotions strung up, that can have the same negative impact. You also said something in there about this 6.5%
Mm-hmm.
mark on the 30-year, kind of
It's kind of the breaking
being a
point. It's where
being a
people,
breaking
yeah.
point.
And I mean, I'm just taking the data for what it is. I can tell you. I mean, we've seen it, right? I mean, when look at October when rates went up north of 7, the market pulled back dramatically.
Yep.
And February was a tough month. I mean, we talk about this 3 times a week, right? Where hey, how's deal flow, and it's been interesting because the markets, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and here between our 3-person accountability call have been a little different, or maybe there's different dynamics happening with the conversations. That's tough to tell because it's so case study based. 6.5. I mean, if rates stay around here, I'm more optimistic for the second half of March than I was before all this stuff happened in terms of sales activity and people wanting to transact because the reality is the people that are out there now, I mean, they're going to have to move and they still, and there's always deals to be done no matter how volatile the market is. So that could ease concerns a little bit. And that's what I'm hoping happens. And I'm hoping the Fed backs off. And at least we kind of have an idea they're using that 25 basis point increase as the benchmark.
I think there's like three levels to the way I'm thinking about the 30-year fixed, and it's at 7% or around 7%. To your point, October, we're going to see demand really go away. So that's not good, right?
Hmm.
So 7%, you really see demand go away. Anything close to 6%, the pent up demand feels confident enough to enter the market. And just based off of the last year and looking at things, and having this inventory discussion over and over and over again, I just believe that if we can get an interest rate at 5%, so 7% demand goes away, 6% we free up pent up buyer demand, 5% we'd free up inventory, which is what we need. Because moving from 3 to 5 isn't the end of the world. It's not like I want to go from 3% to 5%, but I refuse to go from 3% to 7%. So at 5, we start to free up inventory. And those are the three levels. And the closer we can get to 5 and the sooner we can get there, I believe the better chance we actually have at introducing new, fresh inventory into the market. And that's what we need for affordability now more than ever.